Welcome back to the Plan Forward podcast. And I'm Jef Forward, and we are continuing our mini series called Drawn to Clarity, which is all about the importance of drawings in the design process. And this is episode 7, where we're going to be discussing our design philosophy and really talk about how we make every project feel like the homeowner versus feeling like us. Today, I'm joined by Carly Withers, one of our amazing project designers here. And Carly brings a really unique perspective to all of our projects because she has both an architecture degree from the University of Michigan and an interior design degree from the Pratt Institute out of New York. So I'm really excited to talk to her about this. But before we jump into that conversation, I just want to cover what our design philosophy is. I like to keep it simple. I like to keep it direct. And that is function first and beauty always. And always about the client, never about us. We always want to make sure that their house, their home feels like them. And that is the ultimate challenge in any good design process. So, Carly, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome.
Let's just keep it loose because, we're new to podcasting. This is your first podcast, right?
Yeah, I listened to many, but now I'm behind the microphone.
Awesome. Well, I'll try to keep it as fun, as light as possible and keep things moving. So, and trust me, you're going to look better than me. So, okay, let's talk about your background. And with the 2 different degrees you have, how does this influence your approach to projects, to clients and projects?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be in residential design, so it was important to me to study both architecture and interior design. And with that, I think at the beginning, I'm always approaching projects with a balance between the 2. So I'm balancing structure, form, and aesthetics, making things look great.
Okay, that's awesome. And from your perspective, with understanding our philosophy, how do you apply that in the process?
So with a client first philosophy, form and beauty, we're using our client's lifestyle to guide design. We're asking a lot of questions about their likes and dislikes. And through a collaboration, we're coming up with specific solutions for their unique needs.
Okay. What are the first drawings that typically happen in a design process?
So we are just getting right into it, being fun and a little messy sometimes with sketching.
But what are we sketching on?
We're sketching on plans called Matterport plans. And Matterport is a scan of someone's home that produces a drawing.
Okay.
We're using different tech like the iPad trace application to come up with a space plan, some really initial conceptual ideas about what we can do.
Okay, great. And those are kind of as-built plans.
Yep, as the home is.
Okay. And so based on that, when you start planning a space, what do you look for in the as-built plans towards figuring out circulation and all of that?
Yeah, so I'm looking for opportunities and constraints to improve flow, improve balance between spaces, and depending on the client's needs, wishes, really analyzing how they move through their home on a daily basis and how we can improve that experience.
Okay. So you brought up the client's needs and wishes. Mm-hmm. Just can you walk me through how you're going about that?
So we're asking a lot of questions. We're digging into what's not working for a client, what irks them every day, what they hate about their kitchen.
Hate's a strong word.
I know, but personally, there's a pinch point in my kitchen. So that's something that really irks me every day. So we want to address those things. I'll use myself as an example.
Okay.
But we're coming up with strategic solutions to really answer those unique moments and come up with solutions by asking a lot of questions and digging deep into sort of the needs, wants, and wishes and trying to help the client prioritize those. Okay.
Part of our philosophy is that we want to make the client's home feel like them and not feel like us.
Yeah.
And so how do you make sure that we achieve that?
I think we really work collaboratively with the client on choosing aesthetics, choosing materials, but we're always curating that ahead of time for them.
Okay.
Based on their personality, their unique values, what they like. We've already, ahead of that curation, collaborated with Pinterest on the aesthetics. So avoiding cookie cutter solutions, avoiding trends,
Okay.
and bringing unique products in front of them that we know will work and they'll enjoy is a
Okay.
fun process.
How do we find their preferred color tones? Do they like neutral patterns? Do they like wild patterns? How are we uncovering that?
We're simply asking the questions, and we're pulling up a lot of different images. There's a discovery phase with selections. So at the beginning of the process, we're showing them a lot of different stuff and narrowing it down together.
Okay. So you're seeing their reactions
Yeah.
in that moment, and some people have a poker face, some people don't, and you're able to really gauge kind of where they're at.
And that's when even negative feedback is helpful, because if they say, I don't want to see the color orange anywhere, then
Right.
I know to avoid it.
Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit of a loud laugh, but I like that. Some people love orange, and it's funny. We can go back to some different projects, and I see some real pops of orange.
Oh, for sure. Every project's unique, and we're adapting good design to our clients. So
Right. I love that.
if you do love orange, let's do it.
Right. Okay. With that, and maybe this is just taking that question a little bit deeper, but how do you really uncover what they really want or what they really need?
I think throughout the design process, like we're digging so deep as to, like, in a kitchen, for example, talking about, after dinner, when you bring the dishes to the sink, do you scrape, rinse, dishwasher?
Right.
Do you rinse dishwasher? Like, we're getting down to the details of how they're using their spaces.
Okay.
Asking sometimes personal questions like, do you care if your toothbrushes are out on the counter? Or should we design somewhere where they plug in and are hidden away? So we're just getting specific, and we're getting to know our clients really well.
Okay. Digging into deeper questions. Great. To shift the topic a little bit, natural light. We talk about it a lot in our design process, but it's not necessarily a tangible element, and we have to be really careful not to bring in too much, but find the right amount.
Right.
Can you talk about that and how you are approaching your clients in the design process?
Right. So, for example, if we want to bring in some skylights in a bathroom over a tub for kind of a wow moment, that could be special. But then if we're bringing in skylights in a family room where people are watching TV, we might need to consider an operable shade on those skylights
Right.
to control the glare. So it's not just about putting in a bunch of windows, but thinking about if they're operable, if they have a shade, and how the family uses that space, specifically about the windows.
Okay, great. So jumping back to our design philosophy for a second, it really is rooted in mid-century modern and some of the tenets of that design approach. And I'm curious how you see mid-century within all of our projects, even though they don't look like mid-century.
Yeah, I think those principles could be applied to any style or aesthetic. So thinking about form follows function, minimalism, clean lines, designing with intent, with function in mind, that can be applied whether your home is traditional, whether you love a coastal aesthetic. It doesn't have to be a mid-century modern aesthetic to value those principles.
Okay. And with that, with the idea that good design often comes from a good balance of constraints as well. And so with a typical home remodel, we might have a budget constraint and we might have some structure constraint.
Yeah.
How do you turn those constraints into creative opportunities?
Well, I fully believe that we can create a wow moment at any budget. So even if we aren't moving walls or creating a larger opening somewhere, we can find a really amazing backsplash tile or a really amazing cabinet detail that makes the design feel high end because it's very well thought out. It's intentional.
And it's kind of a balance at finding the moment for that client.
Right. There's selections at every budget, and we'll make it look good.
Right. Yes. It's I don't want to speak from a place of hubris, but like I do have a lot of confidence in our team that that constraint can be turned into something that just blends away and the moments really shine.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I'm really curious, what's your favorite part of the design process?
Of course, I love the final product. That's a great moment, seeing it all come together. But I really like in a design meeting, when a client reacts with like, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And that collaboration has brought us together to like figure it out and really solve a problem for them, or create excitement over a tile, for example.
Right. Great. Okay. So we've covered a lot today, and I'm curious, is there a question that I haven't asked that you think we should cover?
Well, I think sometimes clients are maybe nervous that designers are putting themselves into the design. Like you said, that's not our goal. Our goal is to be client forward and
really draw it out.
Yeah. So I guess just to speak on that, personally, I've designed all different types of styles, designed within all different types of styles. And I think all of our designers here can do that. Part of that collaboration is, curating the options and presenting 3 great options. So no matter which one you pick, like, it's going to look amazing because I've already thought about curating those to our clients.
Okay. Is there the process has lots of different drawing types, from as-built to sketches to plans, modeling, interior elevations, like realistic renderings, that down to construction drawings. Like, do you have a favorite? And if so, why?
I really like the sketching phase because it can just be a little more freeform and opportunities to think outside the box and just try different things. So that's always kind of a fun moment to start a project. But yeah, getting more detailed too brings a lot of, this is getting real. We're really picking things out, and
right.
That's nice to get deep into the drawings as well.
Okay. It's funny, that has always been my favorite part as well with the space planning, and that's where you can really conceptually play with some big changes without getting so committed into getting into modeling a whole piece. You can really explore an idea. But that has shifted for me recently with the level of rendering that we can do and the fly-throughs. So, which I didn't mention in the list, but seeing the fly-throughs it blows my mind because it's so realistic. And I've just seen the faces of clients who are like, oh, that's my home.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to visualize it in plan, right? Like,
right.
That's hard to read sometimes. So seeing it in 3D and then kind of walking the space in 3D renderings have come a long way. So It's really nice to see.
Yes, they have. And last question. If you have one piece of advice for anyone who's starting a project, starting a remodel, what would that be?
I would say trust the process.
Okay.
Really intentional design takes time and collaboration, and we're going to get there.
Okay. So I like that, trust the process, because every company out there is going to have probably a unique process to them, but it's very important that that process is understandable. So trusting that process, I love that part. And I just want to add one little thing to that, and that's the willingness to be a little vulnerable, because we're going to be asking a lot of questions, and the more truth we get, the more we can help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate hearing your perspective. If you're ready to explore what a thoughtful, client-centered design process can do for your home, please download the guide, How to Choose a Designer That Gets You. Thank you, and hope to see you on the next podcast.